Warm-hearted viewers, welcome to today's Science and Spirituality program on Supreme Master Television, the second in a two-part series featuring visionary best-selling author and a leading figure in the field of science and spirituality, Gregg Braden, whose work blends the profound wisdom of the ancients with modern discoveries in genetics and quantum physics. Through this unity, Mr. Braden believes that both inner and outer peace may be achieved. Before beginning his current pursuits, Mr. Braden held a variety of computer-related positions and helped to build a team within a prominent company whose members assure the reliability of the Internet. For the past 22 years, Mr. Braden has traveled to some of the world's most sacred and inaccessible places in search of ancient spiritual wisdom, from temples in the Himalayas to ancient ruins in Bolivia and Peru. On last week's episode, he described his discovery of a secret message encoded in the DNA of all living beings, God eternal within the body. Today on Science and Spirituality, we'll talk with Mr. Braden about what our shared spiritual heritage has to offer modern science.
There is a wisdom that has been preserved by indigenous people of our world. They use a different language. It's not the language of science, because science is a new language. Science has only been here for about 300 years, since the time of Isaac Newton. But there's another language that's been here for thousands of years that answers some of our deepest questions. Who are we? Where do we come from? Why are we here? And what can we achieve? And that language is preserved in the traditions of these people who are disappearing from the world today. And I think it behooves us to honor our past and to honor those traditions. Are they old? Absolutely, they're old, but they're not obsolete. The principles are very, very valid. And I think they're the very principles that are missing in the scientific traditions that have prevented science from answering the questions.
Mr. Braden believes that the world's spiritual traditions hold the keys to solving some of the most complex issues dealt with in science today, including the unified field theory.
So as good as our science is, for example, there's a search for what is called the unified field theory. Scientists are struggling to find a formula that links and marries all of the forces of nature into a single theory that describes gravity and all of the forces of the quantum forces and brings everything together. But I think there's a fundamental mistake that was made in science. And there are new experiments today that are about to tell us about that mistake. The new superconducting supercollider, for example, on the border between Switzerland and France. The largest, most complex piece of machinery ever built by humankind is about to recreate the first moments of the Big Bang, the first moments of creation as we understand it. If certain particles do not appear in those first moments, and specifically they're looking for something called a Higgs particle, if those particles don't appear, it suggests that the way we think of physics today is incorrect, and means we have to go back to the drawing board and start all over again, which may be a good thing. Or we could simply start from the principles of our spiritual traditions that tell us what's missing. And the key is that consciousness has been written out of the equation of the universe. That means that we are written out of the equation of the universe. It means that we are considered as separate from, rather than part of, our world. The piece that I think is missing from the unified field theory is just that, it's consciousness. When we write us and consciousness into the theories of the universe, then I think we'll be on the track where we can answer the questions. And this experiment at the CERN Super Collider, there are implications. Textbooks may have to be rewritten, our theories may have to be retaught, but I think it might be a good thing, because then it would put us on the right track where we can answer the question, who are we? Once we truly understand our nature in this universe, then I think the choices become clear and the opportunities become obvious. And that's where our empowerment, I believe, really begins. And it brings us full circle to the beginning of this conversation and our most cherished and ancient spiritual traditions, because they tell us we are powerful beings in this universe, that we're here as a result of a divine intervention, not necessarily religious, but the intervention of a greater existence. And that when we embrace that possibility and apply it into our lives, that we become healthy, happy, empowered beings, and that we have a world of peace and cooperation that allows us to achieve as a species things that seem like science fiction to us and imaginary. But I mean, what could we achieve? How far could we go if we work together and apply brilliant minds and beautiful hearts together? And I think we're about to find out because of where we are in the history of our planet right now.
After this brief message, we'll learn about the true power of the human heart. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Science and Spirituality, where we're speaking with Greg Braden, a thoughtful and engaging scientist and best-selling author from the USA. Whether it's from ancient holy scriptures or spiritual teachers, we're told that all beings are one. Now modern science is confirming this universal truth, which the great seers have taught since the dawn of humanity.
What our own science now is showing us is that we are connected in many different ways. We are connected through quantum fields that are now acknowledged in peer-reviewed journals. And scientists acknowledge in those journals that when we focus our attention on quantum particles, the very particles that we're made of, we change those particles. So that's a fact. The question is, to what degree do we influence those particles? Okay, so this is on the quantum level. Now there's another level. The magnetic fields of this planet, the magnetic fields of the Earth, connect all life and sustain all life, from a blade of grass to a hamster and goldfish and every leader of every nation, every CEO of every corporation. We are linked and connected through a very powerful magnetic field that also connects us to the Earth and connects us beyond our world.
Venus, which is considered by many to be Earth's twin, as it is similar in size, mass, and composition, has no appreciable magnetic fields. Similarly, Mars has only traces of such fields. This is one indication that the presence of magnetic fields on Earth is very special, and even every being on our planet creates these fields.
In 2006, peer-reviewed journals, medical journals, released the studies that amazed everyone because they found that the human heart is the strongest generator of magnetic fields in the body, 5,000 times stronger than the brain, the strongest electrical field, 100 times stronger than the brain, and that we create what is called coherence between the heart and the brain, which optimizes this conversation between the heart and the brain by having a feeling, and the feeling is what the spiritual traditions have always taught us about. When we can have the feeling in our heart, that feeling is what triggers a signal between our heart and our brain that literally connects us with our world in ways that we're only beginning to understand.
Scientists have demonstrated that each individual's generation of magnetic fields is hugely significant when measured on a global scale, and Mr. Braden now provides a powerful example.
There are two satellites that are positioned over North America right now. They're called stationary or geosynchronous satellites. One is on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast. Every 30 minutes, those satellites send a signal back to the Earth, and their job is to tell us how strong are the magnetic fields of the planet. And every day those fields ebb and they flow. They rise and they fall. In a 24-hour cycle, you can watch the fields rise and fall. And scientists are used to seeing that. So one day, scientists are looking at the data and they see the rise, the fall, the rise, and the fall, and all of a sudden they see a spike. It goes right off the chart. And the scientists are saying, well, what on earth? What on earth literally is happening to create this spike in the fields? Well, they overlaid it onto a calendar of days. And to their amazement, the spike began at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time on September 11th, 2001. It was the human emotional response of millions of people in a compressed window of time that was so powerful. The heart-based response, the electrical field and the magnetic field of the human heart, so many hearts feeling to such intensity in such a compressed window of time was so strong it actually created a spike in the very fields of the earth that sustain and connect all life. And scientists said, oh my God. They said, we really are connected and part of a living system in ways that we're only beginning to understand. And this gives new meaning to the concept of Gaia. Gaia as a living system, that we are part of this living system. We're not separate from it. That has led to a series of studies. And now a project, the first of its kind, the very first science-based initiative that is designed to teach people how to feel the feelings in their hearts, not think them in their minds, but to create feelings in their hearts that trigger the coherence that creates good health for us inside, but also extends into the world around us and creates this coherent field carried through the magnetic fields of the earth.
Again, science is confirming what many time-honored spiritual paths and religions have taught. If humanity creates more peaceful and compassionate thoughts, then we can bring about an atmosphere of healing and light.
Scientists tell us that the way we generate those feelings is by following the principles of these cherished and ancient spiritual traditions, by moving into our hearts and feeling feelings of gratitude, appreciation, care. Care is a really big one. Compassion. Those kinds of feelings in the English language trigger the heart-based response that sends the signals to the brain and tells the brain that we are living in a caring, peaceful world. And with those signals, the brain says, I will send now the chemistry into the body that matches those feelings.
The power of humankind to transform our planet's collective consciousness is enormous. By building shared constructive energy through benevolent thoughts, kind intentions, and righteous actions, we can make a splendid change in our world right away. Thank you, Greg Braden, for bringing this message of hope to the public, and we wish you the very best in your continued research that is affirming the harmony of science and spirituality. For more details on Greg Braden, please visit www.gregbraden.com. Books and other media by Mr. Braden are available at the same website. Thank you, friendly viewers, for your company today on our program. Coming up next is Words of Wisdom after Noteworthy News. May we all follow in the footsteps of the wise spiritual teachers who have sustained our planet throughout the ages.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/SS